host of the Gridiron.
All right. Welcome to the Gridiron, baby. If you can give this video a thumbs up or maybe share this video, that would be absolutely freaking phenomenal. If you subscribe to my channel, thank you. If not, please go down below, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell icon. That way next time I go live or if I put a video out, you'll be notified. And it's free of charge. It's totally free of charge. What do you got to lose? But if you are subscribed to my channel, thank you. If you want to help support my channel, description box below, very top link takes you to my membership page. I got 3 different membership levels. Each one has their own little perks to them. So once again, if you want to help support my channel out, it would mean so much to me. And I thank you in advance. Once again, thank you. And then finally, just underneath that, somewhere in that description box, there's another link. Takes you to my Facebook group. It's called the New York Giants, The Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. We have over 10,300 members in the group, and it is doing simply marvelous, my lad. Basically, if I'm alive and breathing, and if I got internet access, I am putting stuff in this group darn near 365. It's called the New York Giants, The Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. Please join it. You will not be dissatisfied. I promise. All right, well, man, I gotta just dive right into this one. This is one of those things that just kind of, it's one of the. Is it here we go, baby, or here we go again? Is it what's it gonna be, right? These next 2 games will give us a nice indication. Give a little temperature. Is it oh yeah, whoa, here we go, baby, or here we go again, right? Now, one thing you always got to keep in mind, right? You got to remember, right? At the helm of the Giants, the running the offense is a rookie, okay? So there's going to be some mistakes, right? We don't have, as of right now, anyway, we don't have a ton of talent on the offensive side, right, of the ball. Our best weapon, our best offensive weapon is Nomas, right? He's out for the season. He'll be back next year. Not sure if he'll be next year, if he'll be as good as he was. It might take him, toward the end of the season to really start getting better. So we'll have to wait and see. But, let's not forget, rookies make rookie mistakes, right? Let's not forget, what Cam did. Cam's looking really good, but he had that fumble against the Saints. We had Dart and a bunch of turnovers against the Saints. So he's got to try to keep things in perspective here, right? But these next 2 games will give us a good indication. Is it here we go or here we go again? Right? Is it time to get all pumped up and jacked up? I'm not saying we're going to the Super Bowl or nothing like that, but here we go. We might have something here, right? Come on, we can win 1 out of the next 2 games, man. That would be so nice. That really would. If we could beat the Broncos, who are a very good team, and maybe lose to the Eagles, all right. If we lose to the Broncos and somehow we beat the Eagles twice, all right. So if we're 3-5 out of these next 2 games, all right. Even if we win 1 and lose 1 the rest of the way, you can kind of see, we wind up like whatever. I want to, 7 10, 8 9, something like that. You can see some, that's some hope for the future. That's like, all right, baby, here we go. Yeah, here we go. Right? Or is it once again, here we go again? We can go back, quite a ways. If you want to go back, you can go back like 10 years, right? So if you go to 2025, you want to go back 10 years, right? Right to the 2016 season. First year for McAdoo, right? Good offensive mind and all of that. We didn't have a phenomenal offense that year, okay? But in 2017, they went out and they got Evan Ingram, right? That was going to help Eli. in his twilight years, right? He's going to help get, the offense. We had OBJ, now you got Evan Ingram, Sterling Shepard. So we added something, but in 2016 we had that good defense. And we won a lot of close games and didn't score a lot, but we good defense. And you kind of figure maybe the next season would be maybe close to that, maybe not a little better, maybe a little bit worse or something. It was just like, here we go again. I mean, 2016 playoffs, good, good exciting year. Good. I said we had a good defense. Just if the defense could just keep performing at that level, which it didn't. And maybe we can add to the offense a little bit, and maybe score a few more points per game the next season. Maybe we can go back to the playoffs. Nope. Here we go again. When Shermer came around, there was like almost nothing to get excited. It was a little bit you can look kind of like when Daniel Jones took over, in 2019, for, especially against Tampa Bay. It's like, whoo, all right, baby, So that was Shermer's second season. So Shermer was good offensive mind, was good at calling plays, not a good head coach. But after the Daniel Jones, the beginning, the first couple games he went in there. After that, it was just downhill. Joe Judge came in. We started off 1-7. It was like, it's like, what do we, But the last 8 games of the first season, Joe Judge, we finished 5-3. So you figure, wow, 8 games, the last 8 games, we were 5-3. Wow. And Daniel Jones was injured. We had a Colt McCoy in there. We had the Wayne Train Gallman in there because, shockingly, Saquon was injured. Daniel Jones was injured. We went into Seattle and we won. Of course, Seattle, it was the COVID year, so there were no fans in the stands. So it was a little quiet in there. But, the last 8 games, we were 5-3. It's like, all right. And in a weak division, remember Washington, I don't know if they were the Redskins, if they were the WFTs, the WTFs, the Washington, whatever they were in 2020. They won the division when Peterson pulled out Jalen Hurts, who was basically the Eagles' only chance of winning the football game, and they rested him. They put their 38th string quarterback in there just so they could lose the game so they can get a better draft pick. And Peterson got fired after that because he's a low-life piece of scum, worthless piece of trash, just like the rest of the Eagles and the organization is. But, it's like, we finished 5-3, and it was like, okay, maybe we got something here with Judge, and then nothing. The next season was just straight trash. In step stable. Right, okay. And I think he pulls a rabbit out of his rear end. We had no salary cap space. We had no money, nothing. And somehow Dable comes in with this team, and we go 9-7-1 and go to a play and win a playoff game. I'm like, all right, baby, here we go. Woo! Nope. Then we won 6 games. We won 9 games. Then we won 6 games. Then we won 3 games. It's like, right. So now here we are once again, right? The first game of the season was just, the defense kept us in there. We didn't do a phenomenal job of stopping Washington, but the defense kept us in there, and it was only 14-6. It was like going in the fourth quarter, right? But the offense was just absolutely anemic. It was absolutely horrible. And, of course, then we gave up that late touchdown, and it wound up being 21-6. And it's like, we suck again, right? All that success, and the one thing was, once again, preseason's preseason, but I would rather go 3-0 in preseason and have a plus 60 in the point for and point against, right? Being a plus 60 in 3 games, right? after the three preseason games, then to be 0-3 and to be in minus 60. Right? We were 3-0 plus 16-point differential over 60. You know, I said we had 11 quarterbacks. It was 11 or no, it was 11. I think we put 11 in there. 11 quarterbacks got put in there. I mean, like the first game we had 4. The second game I think we had 4. The third game we had 3 quarterbacks going there. And out of those 11 quarterbacks, I believe 10 out of the 11 led us to scoring drives. The only one that did not was when Tommy Chicken Cutlet Parmesan was in there against the Jets. We were in field goal range. He threw a pass down the seam. I can't remember who the tight end was. We had, it wasn't Manhurts. I can't remember. I think it was a tight end, but it was down the seam. So it might have been like Fedoni or Dulcich or something, one of those guys. He threw it a little short, bounced off the back or the helmet or something. One of the Jet players went sideways to another Jet player who just happened to be there, who picked the pass off. Right? But other than that, Tommy Chicken Cutlet Parmesan drove us in the field goal range. So, I mean, if it is what it is, right? But, I mean, if that pass, the ball bounced off the Jet player, went basically sideways to another guy. The ball could have ricocheted 352 trillion different directions. It went the one way, went sideways to the one guy. If it hit the helmet, it went sideways, and hit the helmet and went this way, there was nobody here. It went the helmet or the head, whatever it was, at the back, and went this way where the Jet player was. If it bounces backwards, if it bounces over here, keeps going that way. If it goes over this way, down to the ground, it's incomplete. It goes this way where the Jet player is, right? If it bounces off maybe his helmet and it goes a little farther, maybe we catch it for, you know what I mean? So, but, you know, we had all that success, scoring all those points. The quarterbacks looked good. We were walking up and down the field on all these teams. And we said we had over a plus 60 in the 0.4 point against, margin there. And, and then you go out in the first game of the season. You go, oh, maybe, here we go. First game, you go lay an egg. So then, of course, you go play Dallas, and we outplayed Dallas for most of the game. Shoulda, coulda, woulda won the game. Of course, it took, 97-yard field goal as time expired to beat us, and then another field goal as time expired in overtime to win the game. We should have won that game, right? Then, of course, the game against the Chiefs, the Chiefs did not look very good. Of course, you got to be careful now for the Chiefs because it seems like the refs are starting to pull a flag out against the other team. So got to be careful of that. Looks like the Chiefs are going to be turning the corner here. So don't be surprised if the Chiefs wind up, I don't know, 13-4. Maybe they might lose maybe one game the rest of the season because they're not very good. But with the help of the refs, looks like the refs are getting that flag going against the other team. So watch out for the Chiefs. But the Chiefs are not very good. We were in that game. We once again, laid an egg. Then we had, we didn't really dominate the Chargers. To be fair, we had those 2 interception returns. After the first scoring drive where we walked down the field and scored a touchdown, basically the offense scored 3 points the rest of the game, right? Well, we beat the Chargers. Got some excitement going on. So, okay, all right, here we go, right? So then you go into New Orleans, who hasn't beaten a team since they beat the Giants last season. They were winless. We had the Rattle Man in there, who's like 0-900 in his career, comes out with the W against the Giants. Right? Because we have 5 turnovers in that game. Right? So then so it's like, well, what's going to happen here? Are we just a straight up dumpster fire once again? Or, what's going on? We have a very difficult time usually beating the Eagles. Although, to be fair, in recent history, we've had some success at beating the Eagles in our own house. We haven't beaten the Eagles since the dinosaurs roamed the earth in Philadelphia, right? But we have had some success beating the Eagles in Jersey, right? And not only did we beat them, we especially in that second half, we really, especially running the ball and all controlling the lines of scrimmage. Usually that's what the Eagles do with us. control the line of scrimmage, whether they're on defense, whether they're on offense. But we did a phenomenal job of controlling the line of scrimmage on both sides, and we really, really looked good in that game. Yeah. So once again, now the meter's on the upswing. So now here we go once again, another tough game, right, on the road against the Broncos. What are we going to get? Right, as I said, just keep in mind, we have a functionable offensive line. We don't have a dominating offensive line. We have some wide receivers. We don't have there's nobody on this wide receiver group that's keeping a defensive coordinator up at night. Oh my God. Little Jordan Humphrey. We might have to triple team that guy. I don't know, man. He's good. He's scared. There's nobody. We ain't got nobody. I mean, Bellinger and Theo Johnson. Okay. There's nobody. We got nobody, right? That really scares anybody. Okay. We got Cam Scatterbo, right? We got Tracy. But I mean, as far as on the offensive side, as I said, the guy running the whole show is a rookie. All right. So you always keep that in mind. He's gonna make some mistakes, right? And all that. So what's it gonna be? Right? As the preseason was good, and then we lost the first 3 games. Then we beat an undefeated Charger team. Then we lost to a winless Saints team. Then we beat a team that we can never beat, and now we're going. It's up and down, up and what's going to go on. And I said it would really, really be nice. I said if we can go 1-2. I mean, either out of these next 2 games, if we could win one of these next 2 games, to me that would be just fantastic. If we could beat the Broncos, we go on the road and beat a very good Broncos. They're not like an offensive juggernaut, but their defense is very good. It's hostile territory, right? The stadium, the crowd will be loud and all of that. So it'd be very difficult to win out there. Very, very difficult. And they're 4-2. They lost 1 game against the Colts. I mean, I think the guy was. I think the guy was leverage or something. The Colts kicked the field goal as time expired. Missed the field goal. Right? Broncos win. Whee! Out comes the flag. Oh, what's it going to be? Well, they had I think it was leverage. The guy was leaned on somebody to try to jump up or something. I forget what it was. But they gave the Colts another try. He kicks the field. Good, right? Daniel Jones looks good. Broncos look stupid, right? So, I mean, they could easily be 5-1, right? I mean, they beat some crappy teams now. Crappy teams, okay? They beat the Titans. They could have, should have, would have beat the. They came back. To their credit, they did come back and beat the Eagles. Okay, they were down 17-3 going into the last quarter. They held the Eagles scoreless in the last quarter. They scored 18 points in the final quarter. All right, but I mean, it's going to be very, very good team. Very good team. So I said, so if we could beat the Broncos on the road and we lose to the Eagles, I can do it because the Eagles are still the defending Super Bowl champions. They still have it doesn't matter what the record. They got a very good team, regardless. On the road, it's tough for us to win in Philly. So if we can win in Denver, lose in Philly, okay. I mean, I don't want to lose 51-3 to the Eagles on the road. That would really put a damper on things a little bit. All right, but if we lost 27-20, whatever, 27-17 to the Eagles on the road or something like that, I could live with that. I mean, we split with the Eagles. We beat them in Jersey. We lost in Philly. I can deal with that. We split with the Eagles. We split with the defending Super Bowl champions, who is still a very good team. But we went out on the road and we beat a very good Broncos team. Likewise, okay, if we lose to the Broncos, okay, but if we can go on the road and beat the Eagles, I said we haven't won out there, I don't know, like 10 years or so, 10, 11 years, something. It's been a long time since we won in Philly. Long time. If we could beat the Eagles 2 times, and beat them in Philly, holy cow, Batman. That means we would be about 2-2 in the division, okay? And we would have the Cowboys, who not very good, and we'd have the Commanders, who they're not as good as they were last year, coming here, right? And we should eat. I don't want to say easily, but we should win one of those two games, right? Without question, if not both of them. Okay, we have a little payback for both those two teams, right? So I said, if at these next two games we can go 1-1, as I said, it doesn't matter to me. So the only thing I wouldn't want to do, if we beat the Eagles and we lose, like I said, 41-3 to the Broncos, so likewise, if we get blown out by the Eagles, that would put a little damper on things. But I said, if we could go 1-1 out of these next two games, man, that would really, really be nice. I said 3-5, it's 3-5. But we wouldn't be out of the playoffs. Okay, we still have a heartbeat going on, and 3-5 that wouldn't be too bad. Wouldn't be too bad. So, what's it going to be? Here we go, or here we go again. Right. Now, interestingly, Shane and company, right? They did the little restructuring of some contracts here. Now, they didn't free up. Okay, now this might be just the start of something. We'll have to wait and see. Okay, right? To take he still might have a couple tricks up his sleeve, shall we say, right? But he did restructure the contracts of Holland and Adebo. Okay, didn't free up a lot of money. All right. Now, we didn't have a lot of money, period. Apparently, according to like the spot track and over the cap and all, we only had like about $500,000 in salary cap space. We did not have much money at all, period. Now, what this did here was this freed up, I think it was like about $4.8 million, right? Which you should give the Giants roughly around $5 million from here going forward, which should, be enough for the rest of the season. Even, if they have to call some guys up from the practice squad and all that, the $5 million should be pretty darn close to being enough money, right? But with the trade line looming in the near future, right? I mean, that may not quite be enough. So, but there are other avenues he could go down as far as other contracts he could, reconstruct, right? Right. So, but as of right now, we have about $5 million. Where are we at here? So, Giants restructure two contracts to create salary cap space. Adebo and Holland give the team much-needed cap relief. Right. The Giants, with less than $500,000 in salary cap space to start the day on Wednesday, have reportedly restructured the contracts of cornerback Paulson Adebo and safety Javon Holland to create more than $4.8 million in much-needed cap relief. Because the Giants had the least amount of money, salary cap-wise, out of any team in the league. Now I don't know what we're at, but we haven't jumped up. Up too much, and we still have about $5 million, which is not a whole ton of money. But the one nice thing is, it's like it's not like use it or lose it. Meaning, right? So if the Giants have $5 million now, and just say at the end of the year they have $5 million, it's not going to happen. But you just say they still had that $5 million salary cap space at the end of the season. Well, that just carries over to the next year. So it's not use it or lose it. Right? If you got it, you just keep rolling along. So, I said that there are other ways that Shane can come up with some extra money if needed. We're going to talk about that or why they might need that maybe in just a minute here. But Adebo and Holland were the team's biggest free agent signings in the offseason. Adebo signed a 3-year, $54 million contract with $34.75 million guaranteed. Holland signed a $45.3 million deal with $27.4 million guaranteed. That should put the Giants slightly above $5 million in available cap space. So that's which I'm going to go over in just a minute here. But So of course, once again, it's not a lot of money. It's a lot of money, maybe not a lot of money. It should be hopefully enough money to get us through the end of the season. But of course, when there's a little bit of restructuring going on, once again, which is not a lot of money, $5 million is not a lot of money. Of course, the speculation in the fan base is that the Giants were trading for a wide receiver beginning immediately. One person, big trade incoming. You got $5 million. That's not a lot of money. Another one says trading for a wide receiver. Are we? Giants just created cap space. That should increase the wide receiver trade buzz. Yep. Once again. Unless you're trading for like Dalen Cambry or something or whatever, little Jordan Humphreys. You trade for somebody of that magnitude who might cost you $1 million or something like that. Okay, we got that covered. But if you're going out there and you're trying to lure somebody in, right, with the trade or whatever, I mean, unless you give them, we're going to talk about this once and again in a minute. If you bring in somebody, make a nice trade, it might be like a pay to play kind of thing, All right, so we'll give you this draft pick and this draft pick, okay, for this player, but you have to cover their salary for the rest of the or something, whatever. Something have to be like that. So once again, if we're trying to go in there and make a big splash on a wide receiver, all right, $5 million ain't cutting it. That's not cutting it, especially what we need for the rest of the remainder of this season, unless Shane was to go in there and we construct some other contracts, free up some more money. Okay. Let's see. The guy said Field Yates says the Giants have restructured the contract. Oh, yeah, all right. Giants could, of course, use wide receiver help with Malik Neighbors lost for the season to a torn ACL and Darius Slayton missing time with a hamstring injury, and he's still out, right, with his hamstring. So you have no idea when the guy's going to be able to play again. Let's see what we got here. Now it's too early right now. Okay, they haven't come out with the numbers. I mean, this is not like major big time page one news or nothing like that, but they haven't come out with the figures. So and so freed up. We got an extra $2.8 million from Paulson Adebo, and we got an extra $2 million from Javon Holland. This is how we did it, or something. So it's a little too early. They haven't come out with the numbers yet. But as the NFL trade deadline looms, which is November 4th, the New York Giants are abuzz with speculation for a wide receiver. Team has just restructured the contracts of Paulson Adebo and Javon Holland. The adjustment reported by ESPN Field Yates provides crucial flexibility for general manager Joe Shane to pursue midseason reinforcements around quarterback Jackson Dart. Midseason reinforcements, which would be like Isaiah Hodgins, somebody like that. Bringing somebody in who might cost you $1 million for the rest of the season, somewhere around there. Yeah, that they can handle, right? I said we're not bringing in, Chris Olave, or somebody, with those $5 million. We need to do something else. Okay. Adebo, the third-round pick from Stanford, signed a 3-year deal in March, boasts 47 pass defense and 10 interceptions across 4+ NFL seasons. Well, I sure wish he's and Holland is on a comparable pack with expected to infuse elite ball skills and versatility in the secondary, but the pair has had a rocky start to their respective Giants careers. Rocky start is it's almost like spent $100 million for these two guys. It's like it's not paying dividends. Not paying dividends. 6 games into the season, it's like, wow, we spent $100 million for this. This relief was vital even before the trade, as the Giants ranked last in the league with just $473,899 in cap space beforehand. Whispers now center on acquiring a proven wide receiver to pair with Scatterboo and ignite the offense. Names like Jacoby Myers from the Las Vegas Raiders have surfaced in rumors. These fiscal tweaks exemplify Shane's nimble strategy, fusing youth, value, and deadline opportunism for a potential playoff charge. Well, we will have to wait and see. So have to wait and see. But as I said, it's not a lot of money as of right now. As I said, we still have 11 games left to go. Right, we have the elevating guys from the practice squad, cost you some money. We got a long way to go. 11 games to go. Guys get injured, and you need money going forward, right? So as far as trying to pull off some big time deal, I think we're going to need maybe a little bit more money than that, but we will have to wait and see. We still have, today's what, right? As of right of the 2nd, it's the 16th. We got 15, we got 19 days left till the trade deadline. Okay, so we still have, the Giants are going to play, 3 games between now and then? Now, it's going to be interesting to see, because between now and then, all right, so let's just pop this up here. All right. And the thing is that, the trade deadline being November 4th, which I believe is a Tuesday, you got 3 more games. Now, if you look at it, right, the Giants are 2-4. Should the Giants lose the next 3 games, right, and now they're 2-7, how much are they going to want to go out and break the bank for somebody, to bring in to help out this season? We're 2-7. You lose, that would be 9 games. We have 8 games left. If you lose like 2 more games out of those final 8, you're pretty much out of the playoff. If you have 9 losses, you could pretty much kiss this season goodbye. So So if some might have to do, what are we doing, Denver? Are we now 2-5 with Denver, and we're still talking about, calling, making, do we want to get a wide receiver here, get a wide receiver, calling for a wide receiver, and then we play the Eagles again and we lose to them, and now we're 2-6, and it's like, do I want to make a trade with 2-6? I want to help Dart out, right? But how much can I, do I want to help Dart now? Or do I want to maybe help him in the draft? Do I want to trade away a 2nd-round pick for a wide receiver? Would I want to get that wide receiver in the draft, where he'll be a lot cheaper, he'll be a lot younger? We can pick the receiver we want. We can pick a healthy receiver that we want. We can pick a healthy receiver that we want who's cheap in the 2nd round. Somebody could be 22 years old. Or do we want to trade away a 2nd-round pick for somebody, maybe a known commodity? We know what he can do in the NFL. But do we want to pay a 2nd-round pick for somebody who's coming up on a contract? So we're going to trade away a 2nd-round pick, get this guy. We know the next season he's going to want a contract extension. It's like, is that what we want to do? We're 2-6. Do we want to do that? So it's going to be interesting to see if he pulls the trigger on a trade. Is it now? Is it going to be a couple weeks? Is it, what does the record? It's not an easy offense to pick up, especially wide receiver. Just saying, if we got Jalen Waddle, just throwing a name out there. That's all I'm doing, right? If we got him in there, right? We got him in, and we brought him in, made a trade, and got him in on Monday somehow, right? Here's the playbook. It's bigger than the Bible. Here's the 33,442 trillion page offensive playbook. Good luck, right? So they'll have whatever, a handful of plays for Jalen Waddle the next week. Maybe the following week he'll have a few more plays in it, or whatever. Maybe the 3rd week he might be in there, So it's not going to be like, trade for a wide receiver, 3 days after you get him, he's playing the entire game for you, and that's not happening. Yeah, I mean, so if you wait a week, if just once again, if something happens in the wide receiver, right? If you wait a week or two, then you bring him in, you're going to have to wait another couple weeks before the guy can pretty much play most of the time. I mean, so you're looking at like 4 games. If you wait a week or two, then there's another. So you're looking. So what are we at 6? You're looking at maybe like the 10th, 11th game of the season. He might be able to start producing for you. On a bigger scale, where he's in there 80, 90% of the plays, right? Because I said the first week you put him in there, he's not going to be in there for 100 snap or 100% of the snaps. That's not happening. You don't know all the plays. 2 weeks in, he ain't going to know all the plays because this is a very difficult offense to pick up. You got to know what the defense is doing. You got to know what the quarterback's thinking. You can, if it's man, you can run these 2 or 3 routes. If it's a zone, you can run these 2 or 3 routes, but you got to know what the quarterback's thinking. And, it could, obviously, as in the NFL, you could walk up the line of scrimmage. Oh, this is man. So I'm going to do this. And then you take 3 or 4 steps and somebody's on top of you. Oh, this, you think it's zone, right? And you think, the quarterback sees it's zone. I see it's zone, right? You take 3 or 4 steps and somebody's on top of you. Oh, it's man, So it's not an easy offense at all to pick up. So it's I said, it's not something like, the referee puts the ball down, right? Blows his whistle. He got the 40-second play clock. Jackson darts on the ground. All right, Petey, here you go. You go to the Volkswagen. All right, you hit the Volkswagen. You cut across. All right, Joey, you go to the fire hydrant. Run to the fire hydrant and run a little button hook. All right, if you're there, I'll hit you. Okay, Steve, you come down here. Right? You go to the oak tree. All right, come back to the fire hydrant, and then just turn around and just take all. He's not trying diagramming plays and it's you got to know the plays, and it's going to take some time. But the Giants are apparently, per report, actively pursuing them. Quite a few different guys apparently. So, where the heck we at here? We got quite a few guys here. So the Giant, I mean, once again, it depends upon what report you're listening to, right? This one is from the SI.com, but it's the Saints. They talk about the Saints. It says the Giants reportedly aggressively pursuing trade for the Saints' Chris Olave. And the thing is, it's like, Saints think, are they trying to blow everything up and restart from, do they want the draft picks? Or it's like, we got Chris Olave here. Maybe somebody might want to build around. So, but we'll have to wait and see. But an influx of talent at the position could maximize Dart's progress. General Manager Joe Shane, sources say, is trying to make that happen. Hughes wrote, Chris Olave of the Saints, Jalen Waddle of the Dolphins, and Jacoby Myers of the Raiders are among the top potential targets. The challenge with acquiring Olave or Waddle, according to sources, lies in persuading their current teams to part ways. It's like, hey, you got a pretty darn good wide receiver right there. Why don't you give him to us? That's Now, the one thing is that, you're not sure what's going on in Miami because, that's just, sometimes you look at the Giants and you're like, we blow. We're a dumpster fire, but I'll tell you what. I look at us and I look at the Dolphins. I'm like, we're not too bad. I feel pretty good, right? So you're not sure what's going. That's a tricky situation there. You got a young wide receiver with Waddle. Okay, McDonald is. I don't know. Times might be a ticking for that dude. It could be any game, any day. He could be gone. Do they want to keep Waddle? Is that something they want to, or they want to accumulate draft picks for the next coach to come in? Look, we don't have Waddle anymore, but we do have these draft picks. What can you know what I mean? The thing is, like with Waddle, you know what you got. Yeah, you know what he can do on the field. Right? Let's see. A directive from ownership, front office shakeups, or significant draft compensation might be enough to shift the conversation. Draft compensation. So, Olave, has 39 catches, 342 yards, and 1 touchdown on a crappy team. And he doesn't have Patrick Mahomes throwing the football either. Newsflash. Jacoby Myers, 29 catches, 329 yards. They're not as clean as a prospect as Waddle, but although either would provide a boost, though. Olave is only 25, has battled concussions, though, throughout his career, while Myers is seeking a new contract and turns 29 in November, though. So by the time next season starts, we're going to have a 30-year-old wide receiver who's going to want a new contract. Olave is only 25, but he's been getting injured, right? As I said, he's been battling concussions. As of right now, he's done phenomenal this season. Almost 40 catches in 6 games on a crappy team. 342 yards. I mean, he's well on his way for 1,000 at this pace. He's on pace for well over 100 catches, well over 1,000 yards on a crappy team. I'll take that, right? The Giants hope to land a player who can contribute in 2025 and beyond. You don't want to rent a receiver. It's not, the thing is like if you are, if you got a boatload of talent and you got a bunch of draft picks next season and you like maybe one guy away, if we had another good wide receiver, man, we would be close to kicking in that we would be close to kicking in that Super Bowl door, right? That's not the Giants, right? So the Giants want to, trade away. You don't want to rent her. They can't afford to rent a receiver for this season. You can't afford to trade away whatever. 3rd, 4th, 2nd round pick to anybody to get a receiver in this season and just let them. They can't afford that. Whatever they trade away, they better make sure that they land that guy. Now the problem is a lot of it is it's these guys are either on a contract or they're coming up on a contract. So the Giants might be desperate enough to swing a trade for Olave because this deal would make New York's offense a true powerhouse of the future, though. But let's see, here we go. I want to talk about this one here, okay? Jalen Waddle, trade rumors. Giants eye Dolphin star receiver. Once again, another report say the Giants are eyeing Waddle. But the problem is with Waddle, if this has it, the Giants are aggressively pursuing trade for Dolphins wide receiver Jalen Waddle. The injuries to Malik Nabers and Darius Slayton have depleted the Giants' receiving core. Waddle is a primary target due to his 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons and manageable contract as of right now. Dolphins may be reluctant to trade Waddle, especially after losing Tyreek Hill. I mean, as they lose, they lost. Hill's gone. I mean, hopefully he'll be back next season. But they lose Waddle and Hill. Whew. So, any deal for Waddle would likely require substantial draft compensation. The thing is, you know what you got with Waddle. Okay, you know what you got with him. Right? Do the Giants want to ante up a 2nd round and maybe a 5th round or something like that for Jalen Waddle? Giants need another receiver. Have to have, whether it's a tight end or a wide receiver, they need another weapon. You just can't have Malik Nabers and then Dalen Cambry. You need somebody over here and you need somebody over here. Of course, it helps if they stay healthy. I get that. The Giants need another weapon. Now the weapon spreads the field out even more. You can't. This way, the defense can't put 10 people on this side of the line of scrimmage where, the one wide receiver is, right, and leave the rest of the wide receiver, the other side open, right. Well, we'll cover complete neighbors with 10 guys, and we'll put one guy on the right. No. I mean, you want to have the whole field covered because you got a dog over here and you got a dog over here. Then you got a dog in the backfield named Cam Scatterbill, right? Let's see. Here we go. So this is the thing with the dilemma with Waddle. He's only 26. We know he's a phenomenal wide receiver, right, out of Alabama, right? He's just not another name on the trade block. Drafted 6th overall by Miami in 2021. He immediately established himself as a dynamic weapon, recording 3 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. His 2022 campaign, 1,356 yards and 8 touchdowns, cemented his reputation as one of the league's premier young receivers. Absolutely. This season, Waddle has been productive despite adversity. He has 20 receptions on just 40 targets for 390 yards, though, right, and 3 touchdowns in 6 games. So once again, he's on pace for over 1,000 yards, 3 touchdowns. Eight touchdowns, somewhere around there. He's on pace for. Okay, he's not on pace. He's on pace for 60 receptions, somewhere around there. But once again, the Dolphins are not very good. You have a better team, right? Better offense. The offense stays on the field. Usually, they get more offensive plays. They spread the ball around. Everybody gets more receptions, right? So. Waddle's ability to stretch the field and create separation makes him an ideal target for a developing quarterback like Dart. Ta-da! For the Giants, adding Waddle would be a statement of intent, a commitment to both the present and the future. The Dolphins' dilemma: value versus need. Any potential deal for Waddle is fraught with complexity. Miami is grappling with its own challenges. Tyreek Hill's season-ending injury has left the Dolphins thin at wide receiver. Behind Waddle, options like Malik Washington, Nick Westbrook, D. Eskridge, and Taj Washington have yet to eclipse 100 yards receiving and combined through 6 games. So they ain't got nothing behind Waddle. Waddle's contract is another consideration now. Okay. After signing a 4-year rookie deal, he received a 3-year, $84.75 million extension ahead of the 2024 season. Now, for 2025, his cap hit is a manageable $8 million. Okay. Rising to $11.7 million the following year. Okay. So I mean, you look at, he only cost $20 million in 2025 and 2027. I mean, with his, you know what you got. He's young, right? And for $20 million for Tuesday, holy cow, sign me up, right? But it jumps to $33.8 million in 2027. This structure makes him both an asset and a potential burden, depending on Miami's long-term plans. Is that something, do they want to come up, have to pay him $34 million in 3 years, 2 years from now? They may not. Trading away Waddle would mean Miami surrendering its primary offensive weapon at a time when their own receiving depth is precarious. I mean, they would have nothing. I mean, you think they're bad now. They trade away Waddle. Holy cow. Wow. As Dolphins Wire noted, only a king's ransom might persuade the Dolphins to part with such a cornerstone piece, unless front office upheaval such as the rumored firing of GM Chris Greer changes the calculus. Giants have ammunition holding selections in the 2nd, 4th, 5th, and 6th rounds of the upcoming draft. However, the willingness to surrender high-value picks for Waddle is unclear. Sources suggest that ownership directives, front office changes, or overwhelming draft compensation could force Miami's hand, but the price will be steep. Then they talk about the other targets that the Giants have as well, too. And let me see what we got here. They talk about Waddle here. We got here. The Giants also talk about obviously with Jacoby Myers as well too. Let's see. Waddle would be the most high-profile addition. The former first-round pick has 29 receptions for 390 yards. So, Olave's got the 39 catches, 342 yards. Myers got 29 catches for 329 yards. So all three of those guys are on pace for over 1,000 yards, I believe. 329. Well, not quite. Now, Myers is like a little under 1,000 yards, but Waddle's for well over 1,000 yards. And I'm going to say Olave 9. Olave's right around on pace, right around for 1,000 yards, but Myers is a little bit under it. Right, but let me get here. Oh, and then also, I mean, there's other guys here too. What we got here? Just going to say this before Ricky does, but the Giants have called the Packers about wide receivers Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs, and Wicks. That's my last name. Dante Vion. His last name is Wicks. So is mine. No relationship, once again. They called the Giants have called the Packers about those three wide receivers recently. Also, several other teams they've called several other teams about their wide receivers, including Washington. They've actually called Washington from McLaurin, and they've called the Dolphins for Waddle. Players most heavily linked to the Giants include Jacoby Myers, Rashid Shaheed, Chris Olave, and Christian Kirk. But those are not the only noteworthy names. A report surfaced earlier that New York is interested in Juwan Jennings, but it's evident Shane is searching down all possible avenues. Packers writer Easton Butler mentioned all three of Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs, and Dotavian, maybe, Wicks for Big Blue, but Dobbs makes the most sense. 25-year-old might be the most expensive to acquire of the Green Bay trio, but is highly productive entering a contract year, though. Watson is yet to make his season debut, has been designated for return after tearing his ACL at the end of last season. So the Packers might have an abundance of wide receivers. So, letting one of them go, possibly, especially if they get a good draft pick in return, might make sense for them. Meanwhile, Wicks, not me, the wide receiver Wicks, would step into the big body role like guys like Little Jordan Humphrey and Isaiah Hodgins have played across the last few seasons. So, I mean, the Giants, they are, without question, right? They are, they're calling around. Now, can they get somebody? No. We'll have to wait and see. So it's very, very tricky. Very, very tricky. If the Giants were, as I said, like a wide receiver away from, knocking on a Super Bowl door, I think this might be a done deal, relatively quickly. It's almost like, it'll be almost like, what are we doing here? Let's get this guy in. Let's trade away the second round pick. They want a second and a fifth for him. Trade him away. Get this guy in here. Get him knowing the offense. We need him on the field. We need some production because we're going to the Super Bowl. We think we have a real good chance of going to the Super Bowl. So the thing is it's like, next year Malik Neighbors are going to come back. Next year you're going to have an opportunity, whether it's in free agency or through the draft, to bring in a wide receiver who will be very, especially in the draft, who's going to be very cheap unless you draft somebody in the first round, right? But for the most part, you're going to get somebody who is very cheap. Do you want to give away some draft capital to bring somebody in, especially if they're going to be on a contract year or something like that, who's going to start costing you a lot of money almost right away, Is that something you want to do? And I said, not only that, but if we wait another couple of weeks and say the Giants are now 2-6, what are they going to do? It's almost the trade deadline. They're 2-6. They're almost out of the playoff competition, right? Do they want to go out and spend some draft capital to bring somebody in to help us for the last 6 games of the season? Is that something they're going to want to do? So it's not that easy. Obviously, right? So could be, but something to keep an eye on. Certainly something to keep an eye on, because we need help at the wide receiver position. Let's wait and see what happens, right? But they restructured some of that money. They got $5 million, but at that $5 million, if they're going to bring in one of these wide receivers, they're going to need to restructure somebody else's contract, because $5 million is not going to cut it for the rest of the season especially if you bring a wide receiver in. Now, unfortunately, right, good old JMS, he's still with a concussion, so unfortunately. The good thing, not that he's got a concussion, but Schlottman didn't play a lot of snaps last week, but he didn't play too bad in JMS's absence. Okay, there's going to be, the one real bad thing is now you have a new center. Okay, in there. When you're at home, okay, and you can kind of control, especially when JMS went out, the Giants had, had the upper hand in the game. There were a lot of Eagle fans there, but they weren't as mad, stark, wild, crazy as they usually are. So usually, when you're at home, you can kind of control the crowd noise to a certain extent. You can, go like this and everybody be quiet and all that. You can't do that on the road, right? Jackson Dart can't go into the middle of, whatever, Mile High Stadium or whatever it's called, and all the Bronco fans, shh, keep it down, everybody. Jackson Dart wants us to be quiet. That's not happening, right? So it's going to be, it's going to be very interesting. They got to get, that there's signal countdown, snap countdown. They got to get everything down. You can't be causing guys to jump offside. One thing Sean O'Hara was talking about on Big Blue Kickoff Live was that a lot of times, especially when you have the silent count, and whether it's the Superdome, right, Mile High Stadium, some of these stadiums are just so loud, right? You have the silent count. Well, a lot of it, he was talking about not as so much the guards, because the guards, looking forward, right ahead, they're not turning, looking at the football, right? So you get snapped. Okay, got snapped. Let me go. No, they see it out of the corner of their eye. But when you're a tackle or even farther out, a tight end, he was saying it's worse for those guys out there because they can't see the ball. They got to rely on the other guys, right? So he was saying a lot of it is the timing, right? Sometimes you get a different center in there, and the first center snaps the ball, the second center snaps the ball, but sometimes there's a little different timing that goes on. Like sometimes a lot of what the Giants seem to do is sometimes when they have the silent count, the guard might turn around, maybe GVR or somebody like that, whatever, turns around, looks at whoever the quarterback is, and the quarterback will lift his leg, letting him know he's ready, lifts his leg, and then maybe whoever is GVR turns around, goes sticks his hand out forward, right? So that way the center is looking forward, right? And he sees his hand come out like this, and from GVR, where he sees a hand where he gets tapped on the shoulder, whatever, he knows it's okay to snap the ball. Well, sometimes the timing gets thrown off a little bit, right? Sometimes the center, like this, sees the hand come out from the guard and the center. Sometimes, like what O'Hara says, sometimes the centers would still look between their legs and then snap the ball, right? So they have different timings going. So it's very important to get everybody in sync. And this is not one of those games where you can, you don't want to get in the third and longs. You don't want it. It's going to happen. Somebody's going to jump offside or something or whatever. It's going to, but trying to stay out of third and long in this game would be freaking huge. Now, I think Sean O'Hara was mentioning the edge rushers, okay, for the Broncos, do a very good job of, especially if they know when the snap count is, right? If if you got a silent count going on and they can just kind of judge when the center's going to snap the ball, and they just get off and they just start taking, especially Benito, right? He's got 8 sacks, leads the NFL with but they got 30 sacks. They got a lot of sacks. Sean O'Hara was mentioning that a lot of their sacks come on like third down, right? When it's like third and long or whatever, and they can just get off. As soon as they just take off, right? So it's going to be very, very important to, stay in third manageable. Running the ball will be pretty important here. Very, very important. But let me just show you. Now, that the one thing is that we're going to kind of maybe compare a little bit with the Eagle game. Okay. Now, to be fair, Jalen Carter wasn't in there. Dude's a beast. Okay. So that did help the Giants out. But sometimes it's not who you play, it's when you play them. Bob Papa says that all the time. Now, it's like, they didn't have their best player on defense. Well, guess what? We didn't have our best player on offense. It was a wash. Okay. We didn't have Malik Neighbors in there. All right. But let's see here. Share the screen. Let me see if I can find this here. Once again, I do apologize. I got 37,000 tabs open up here. Run blocking. Okay, here we go. This run blocking? Okay, we'll try this here. Is that it? Might be it here. Okay. Okay, so this is so far in the season. Okay. Now we'll look here. John Michael Schmitz, okay, on the season is run blocking. Okay. He's been on 144 run plays. He's blocked 144 times in 6 games. You noticed Austin Schlottman just came in for the one game. He played just 18 snaps against the Eagles, okay? But he did relatively well. And you figure a lot of the snaps he was in, too, okay, he was just in for 18 run blocking snaps, okay? But a lot of the snaps he was in for were running plays because a lot of them were at the end of the game when we were just trying to run out the clock, right? But if you look here, right, the 18 running snaps he had, Schlottman graded out of 76. Not too shabby. John Michael Schmitz on the season, okay, is graded out of 64.6. Right? I'm not saying Schlottman's better, just in his brief appearance, he's done pretty well. Now, if we look here, okay, John Michael Schmitz, zone run blocking, okay, 64.3. Gap blocking, right? He grades out of 67. Austin Schlottman, zone blocking 65.9, 67.8. So, I mean, you look here, zone blocking, he blocks 6 times, right, against the Eagles. Gap blocking, he blocked 8 times. All right. I guess some of these might have been like a kneel down too, that because they were, because you got 6 snaps here and you got 8 snaps there, and he was in for 18 running snaps. So some of them might have been the kneel down. I don't know, but but he's done fairly well at either one. But once again, very small sample size. Okay, 65.9 on the zone blocking, right? 67.8 in the gap blocking, right? But if we notice, the one thing here, okay. Let me share my screen here again. Let me show you the one interesting thing is with the Denver Broncos, okay, they do very well. Gotta find, there we go. Okay, their defense, Denver Broncos run defense, okay. And they do very well. There's not many weaknesses on their defense, okay. if you want to talk about pretty much of anything, it's hard even to say that, right? They're good on third downs. They're good on fourth downs. They're good in the red zone. They lead the league in 30 quarterback sacks. They're top 10, I think, run defense. They're second overall in quarterback pressures. I think Seattle has 106. Seattle has 100. I'm sorry, Denver has 105 or somewhere like that. I mean, so there's not many weaknesses. The one thing is that they haven't taken the ball away much. Okay, so if you want to say any type of a weakness, you can kind of say that. But one thing, if you'll notice here, I said they are very good run defense wise. Okay, but if you look here, okay, their run defense, okay, Hufanga, the top guys for their run defense. All right, Barron is a cornerback. He's only hasn't been in there that much. Right, Hufanga. 127 run defensive snaps, 77. He's a safety. Moss, a cornerback, 74.1. Roach, okay, he's a defensive lineman, interior defense, but he's only been in it for 20. So the guy hardly plays. I mean, if you look at it like that, he's plays three run snaps or seven, 6, right? 3, yeah, about 3 run snaps a game on average. So yeah. Take that for whatever it's worth, okay? But then you got McMillan here, cornerback. He's been in there for 60 run snaps, 73. Brandon Jones, safety, 125, 73.2. Singleton, linebacker, 133, 71.6. Patrick Surtain, of course, we know he's a cornerback, 132, 70.1. Strnad, another linebacker, or no, Strnad, 111 snaps, 69.4. You got to come down here like number 10. And even Tillman has only been in there for 52 run defensive snaps, but 69.1. But you'll notice, I mean, a lot of their guys here, right? The guys who played on the defensive line are down toward the bottom. Myers, 54 snaps, grades is 61. Bonito, their big edge rusher, okay, 76 rushing snaps, defensive snaps, 60.9. Cooper, another edge, 60.8. Where we got some of these guys down here, right? Ellis, another edge, 56.7. Uzurke, another interior defensive lineman, 66 snaps, 53.7. Allen, interior defensive lineman, 95 snaps, 48.4. Jordan Jackson, another interior defensive lineman, 28 snaps, 48.1. Another edge rusher down here, Robinson, 15 snaps, 44.4. So their defensive line, okay, is obviously gets a lot of pressure. But they're not, I don't want to say like so much like overpowering on the run game. The second level and their cornerback and all that do a very good job, very good at tackling and all that. So it's going to be very interesting to see if Schlottman does wind up playing. If JMS can't make it back because of the concussion, you were kind of hoping maybe he could because he got injured on Thursday, so you get 10 days off. Right? Maybe he could be cleared and he would be able to come back. But another one of the things is that if you still have a concussion, you don't want to be on a plane for like a real long period of time and flying out to Denver. So JMS may not even fly out there. I'll have to wait and see. But it's going to be very, very interesting. I mean, in the small amount of snaps that Schlottman has had, against the Eagles in the run game, he's done pretty good. Okay. Now, also to be fair, okay, he came in at the end of the game, a lot of the Eagles, and they were down by it was like by 3 scores. They were tired. They were beat up, right? So, and Schlottman came in there, and he was fresh as a daisy, so that might have a little something to do with it as well, too. But that's something you have to keep an eye on. The Giants, our tackles have done pretty good, especially pass protection. Now, they're going to have to, because the 2 edge rushers that Denver has are phenomenal. Denver has 12 guys who have at least half a sack. So they got a lot of guys that fly around and get pressure on the quarterback and get sacks, right? Now it's not only so much the edge rushers, right, but a lot of guys. Whether it's a cornerback or safety or a linebacker, where they got a lot of guys that get some pressure on the quarterback. So it's going to be very important for our tackles. If Illuminor, right, he's a little banged up, but if he's there, and obviously Andrew Jobs, a big game for those guys. Now, whether we're going to send somebody out, maybe to chip Bonito or something like that, help out. Maybe if Bonito's over, maybe Illuminor, or Bonito's over Thomas or something like that. Send Cam out or somebody to, out of the backfield and chip them, trying to slow these guys down. But it's going to be very big for the guys up the middle. Our guards have not had a phenomenal season. The center, as I said, John Michael Schmitz, especially the past couple of games, has really stepped up. He's really had it. Last couple of games, he's really done well. So let's hope that if he can't go, all right, hopefully, Schlotman can go in there and, work some magic, right? Because it's going to be a tough game. And as I said, the run game will be very, very important in this game. Very, very important. As I said, the snap is going to be very important. We can't, as I said, it's going to happen, right? With hostile territory, with loud crowd and all that, but we really got to limit the amount of false starts that we have and delayed games and silly penalties like that, right? We got to, a lot easier said than done. I get it. Okay. But we got to pick up, where are we at here? Yeah, pick up some yards on first down, pick up some yards on second down, get the third manageable. We don't want 3rd and 12, 3rd and 13, 14 or something like that, where they can just tee off on us on third down, because then we're in a lot of trouble. And that's going to make for a long afternoon. But one of the things, which I'm a little surprised about, that I haven't really seen much of, but no, some of this, you remember, I'm going to go over just one of the games in particular, but more in particular, it was, a lot of it had to do with the guy in the thumbnail right there, Turbo, who's probably not going to dress once again this weekend. It was a shame, but when we had some success there, now it wasn't always him, okay, but I'll tell you what, we had a lot of success with him in the lineup. Now, once again, also, it wasn't starters going versus starters. So a lot of time he was in there. He was going up against backups. I get that and all, but we had some success with the screen game in the preseason. It's like, this would be a real good game. Something like that. Let the guys come crashing in and just dump the ball over them. Let them come running in, and it's like, oh, screen. Then they turn around and got to run after they. Remember, we're in Mile High Stadium. It's going to be tough for the Giants. You're out there running around. You're not used to being up a mile high. You're going to be sucking for some oxygen. That's for sure. But same thing with those guys too. Get them out there running. Let those guys run, right? Get their defense running, right? As I said, just whatever they do, you got to counteract that, right? You just don't want to say, okay, they're going to tee off on us on third down. Let me get in the pocket, and I'll just stand here and hope it doesn't cave in, right? I just remember the last play of the game when they played the Jets last week. The Jets needed a few yards to get into field goal range. As horrible as that game was, they were only a few yards away from maybe getting in field goal ranges, right? And the last play when they sacked Fields for the 75th time of the game, he got back. He was able to stand there for about half a second, and the guys were flying all over him. He's ducking one guy. By the time he ducks one guy, there's 13 other guys just on top of him, just taking him down, and the game's over, right? I said, but let him come on in, bro. What you got? You want come on, let's go. Come on in. Dump it right over their heads to somebody out there, right? Of course, it's not that easy. Not easy said done, but right, let them come on in. Come on, right? I mean, get Illuminor out there, make it look like he's trying to block Benito. Benito blows around him. Benito's coming in. I'm going to get you. Dump it out over to somebody over there. Now you got Illuminor in the open. You got to say you got a linebacker coming out to take the running back, and what you got Illuminor in the way, or you got to guard that Illuminor out there, right? They pretend they're looking like they're blocking, and the Broncos just rush right past them, and darts. Oh my God, I'm going to get sacked. You know, right? Why the running back catches it? They got 2 or 3 guys out there. Right, they got 4 guys in the backfield. You know, the Broncos, they got to turn around and run after a guy who's running down the field with a bunch of blockers, getting ready to plow him down and all that. Yeah, this would be a good game for something like that. Good game for something like that. I mean, you know, because that's something that you should be able to get the pass off without getting sacked, right? And you can pick up some good yardage. I want to go over the one game here. Let me share the screen. I gotta find. You know, this was a turbo in there a lot of the time. I gotta find it. There we go. Right. And once again, it was Oh, I'm sorry. I just screwed that up. Let me try this again. One more time. There we go. There we go. Okay. You know, as I said, this was with turbo in there. It was backups. I mean, it wasn't like you had the Bills' first string defense in there, and it was the championship game, and it was very vanilla on offense, vanilla on defense, and all that. But man, we had so many times where we just dumping the ball off to him once again. Yeah, he wasn't playing. The defenders on the Bills were not Hall of Famers. I get that, but we had some success. This would not be a bad game for something like that. All right. I'm not sure if this was it. I mean, because somewhere along the line. Okay, here we go. Turbo Miller was in the game. Okay. So this was, what is this? The beginning of the second quarter. Okay. It's 3rd and 9. I mean, remember how many times Turbo picked it? It would be like 3rd and 10 or whatever it was. You just dump it off to him. He picks up a first down. Well, now where it doesn't say screen pass, but it says short pass. Jackson Dart, pass short to Turbo Miller. He gets picked up. It's 3rd and 9. He gets out to the 39-yard line for 18 yards. First down. Probably screen pass. Short pass. Right? All right. Let's see what we got. I mean, there's quite a few. That's a touch. Okay. All right. So we got that one. Then he throws the touchdown pass to little Jordan Humphrey. Maybe it's here. Let's see here. Okay. We got Turbo Miller. He runs the ball. Let's see here. We got an incompletion, 5-yard pass. Okay, we're here. Jackson Dart, short pass to Turbo Miller, pushed out of bounds for 5 yards. Now it's 2nd and 17. Once again, right? You got a 13-yard pass. It's what we got here? Jackson Dart, short pass, short left to Turbo Miller out to the 29. He picks up 13 yards. Dart scrambles for 19 yards. Incomplete, 10-yard run, incompletion, 3-yard run, incompletion, field goal. Okay. Then we got another one here, another field goal, 5-yard penalty, 0-yard, 18-yard pass. Nope. Montrell Washington. Okay, 6-yard pass, right? Jackson Dart, pass short left to Turbo Miller. Picked up just 6 yards. And somewhere in here, I know there's another. Jameson Winston at the Ward. Nope. There you go. Jameson Winston, short pass to Turbo Miller. Pushed out of bounds for 10, picks up 10 yards. Right. It's 3rd and 8. Short pass to Turbo Miller, picks up 10 yards. First down. Not sure if there was another one here or not. 7-yard pass, 9-yard pass, 1-yard run, 5-yard run, 12-yard. What's the scrambles? Okay. I don't know if there's another one or not. But I mean, you get the idea here. Tommy DeVito, there you go. Right? Now it's 1st and 10 at the 25. Tommy Chicken Cutler Parmesan. Pass short left to Turbo Miller. Picks up 16 yards. First down. Right. 12-yard pass. Tommy DeVito. Pass short right to Turbo Miller. It's 2nd and 10. Pushed out of bounds. Picks up 12 yards. First down. Incompletion, 16-yard pass. That Fedoni, okay, 2-yard run, 2-yard pass, incompletion, field goal dead. Okay. Touchdown, 14 yards. But I mean, you kind of get the idea here. You know, I mean, Turbo played a lot that game. Let's see exactly what did he wind up with here? Let me see. Look at the box score here. I mean, you get the idea. But once again, a lot of that happened in the 2nd quarter, the 3rd quarter, in like the 4th quarter box score. All right, Turbo Miller. 10 catches. No, that's running. I'm sorry. That's running. 7 catches, 80 yards, 11.4 yards of reception. Right? 7 catches. And it doesn't say there. Okay. It doesn't say Jackson Dart screen pass to Dante Miller. Jackson Dart screen pass. It doesn't say that. It just says short left or short. So I'm going to say most of those seem like they were screen passes. But I tell you what, they work so well. It's been so long since the Giants were able to have a good screen game. So long. I remember back in the 70s, going back in time, the Cowboys had a great screen game. Man, fantastic screen game. Really, really good. Even in the 80s, they're very, very good. They would just let you come in and they would just dump it out over your head, and there'd be like 2 or 3 offensive linemen running down, blocking, and the running back, whatever, catch the ball. Doesn't have to be running back, it can be a tight end, whatever, but then you get a good screen game going. Boy, I'll tell you, that really, sometimes takes it takes some of the wind out of the defense because they're running in, and then they got to turn around and chase a ball carrier, right? They run in 10 yards and they got to turn around and run back 10 yards and keep running after so that's tiring, right? But it also keeps in the back of their mind, oh my God, I'm running in, I'm going to sack him. Is he going to throw the ball over my head? And I got to, so it's something that, this would be a real good game for something like that. But one of the things is you're seeing there is that obviously in the exhibition games, okay, Turbo Miller was in there, and unfortunately, it doesn't seem like he's not going to be elevated. He hasn't been elevated yet. It was also weird because you figure, a couple of the games, 2 running backs in there. We still didn't elevate Turbo Miller, so. That's a head scratcher. Really, really is a head scratcher. I mean, I think he can bring a certain element to the Giants. Speed. Right? If you can get that guy out in the open, right? That dude is fast. I mean, you've seen him on some of those screen plays, man. He just catches the ball and he's like running past people. So, but I mean, this would be a real good game for something like that. A good screen game would be fantastic. Instead of just standing in the pocket, waiting for somebody to get open, waiting and hoping and praying that the pocket doesn't collapse on you. Right? This would be a good game for something like, let him in. Come on in, bro. Come on. Just dump it right over your head. Right? Ain't nothing you can do about it. Right? So, and then finally, of course now, everybody at the time, right, was all mad, pissed off and everything. What the they doing? They beat the Colts. What have we done? We had the number 1 pick. There goes the greatest quarterback of all time. We can't get him now. Can't war. We're gonna suck for another 300 years. let's pump the brakes a little bit here, shall we? Right? I mean, you don't know, obviously, what was going to happen with the Giants have taken Cam Ward. I mean, a lot of what they were talking about was every time they were talking with Jackson Dart, they seemed to check all the boxes, really seemed to check all the boxes. I'm not so sure if Cam Ward did or not. Now, it's undeniably Cam Ward's got some good talent to him. I mean, a couple of his touchdown passes. I mean, he's just, the dude, he's got pressure on. I mean, the guy's not on a good team. Let's be fair about that, right? Sometimes he's under pressure and he just starts running around and all that, and he runs to the side or whatever like that. He sees somebody ends and just zings it right in. I mean, you can tell there's some damn talent there, without question. But you don't know. I mean, would the Giants have taken Cam Ward at number one? Or would they maybe try to trade back and maybe grab an extra draft pick or two or something like that? You don't know. But one thing I do know is that, Jackson Dart, they were really enamored with him, especially Dable. As you can see he's like, he hugs the dude. He is in love with that dude. I mean, straight up, in love with that dude. As I said, you don't know, with the Giants have taken Cam Ward. You don't know. Let's not forget, we got Abdul Carter, right? It's not doing too bad. I think he's number 7 overall in pressures, quarterback pressures. Okay. And that's in the entire league. Right? He only has half a sack. I get it. But he's number 7 in the entire. He leads the Giants in pressures. Burnsy's got 7 sacks, but Abdul Carter only has half. But Abdul Carter's got more pressures than Burns does. And I bet you Abdul Carter's probably played less snaps than Burnsy has. So, and let's not forget, right? We also got some guy by the name of Jackson Dart. Now, as I said, to be fair, Tennessee's a horrible team, right? Their wide receiver position is probably a little bit better right now than the Giants is. But, if we look, Cam Ward, okay? He's completing 55% of his passes. He has 1,100 yards. He has 3 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. 183 yards a game. Okay. He's been sacked 25 times. He's lost almost 200 yards. So he's been sacked. In six games. He's 1-5 as a starter. He's 1-5. The Giants with no wide receivers and a bad team. Jackson Dart is 2-1. Okay. So he's averaging 183 yards passing per game. Let's see here. Where are we at? Where are the Giants at? I didn't pull the Giants up on it. What gets us up here? See what Dart's got here. 2025. New York Giants. All right, here we go. So what's Dart? I said Dart's got a better winning percentage. So Dart is completing 65.9% of his passes. So he's about 66%. And what is all right, Cam Ward is 55%. So Dart in his 3 games, right, is completing 11% more passes. Dart, let's see, he has 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I think he also has what? He has a rushing 2 rushing touchdowns. Now he did lose a fumble though too. Right, let's not forget about that. But he has 6 touchdowns in 3 games. He has 2 interceptions. All right, Ward, said on the other hand, has no rushing touchdowns. He doesn't run. He's run the ball 14 times for 36 yards. Dart has run the ball 32 times for 167 yards. Okay. Dart's averaging 5.2 yards a carry. And Ward is averaging 2.6. So Dart's averaging twice amount per carry. As I said, he also has 2 rushing touchdowns. He has 4 passing touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So he has 6 touchdowns. So he is in half the games, he has twice as many touchdowns. Jackson Dart's played 3 games. He has 6 touchdowns. Now, once again, small sample size. I get it. Both teams are not very good. All right. We have no wide receivers. Yeah, I said I think the Titans wide receiver position is a little bit better than what we got, right? But Cam Ward, once again, this is a small sample size. It does not mean Cam Ward can't play, isn't going to get better. It doesn't mean that. It really doesn't mean that. There's some arm talent there, let me tell you what. But he's played 6 games, and he's had 3 touchdowns, 3 touchdown passes, no rushing touchdowns. He averages 2 yards a run, no rushing touchdowns, right? Dart has 2 rushing touchdowns. So in 3 games, half the amount of games, Dart has twice as many twice as many touchdowns as Cam Ward, right? Now, let's see. The Giants are relying a decent amount on the run. So Dart's only averaging what? 200. What's he got here? 508. Let's see what yards per game. 508. 101 yards a game, man. No, it's. They got Dart's thrown for 508 yards, I guess, but they got him in for 5 games. 2 of the games, he was in there to run the ball. I mean, if he was in there for like 3 snaps in each game or whatever it was. So he's played 3 games. Okay, he's been there he has 508 yards in 3 games. Okay, so it's very, very comparable to what Ward's done so far as passing the ball. Okay, but Jackson Dart is doing it with no wide receivers, right? He's completing 11% more of his passes than Cam Ward is, right? And once again, I'm not saying that Dart's going to be, elite. I hope he is, but, and Cam Ward's going to be horrible. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying right now, it doesn't look like maybe the worst thing that's ever happened to the Giants, that we had to jump back into the first round to take our quarterback. Doesn't look like the worst thing ever happened to the Giants that we didn't have the number 1 overall pick, right? As I forget, we got Abdul Carter too. Now, we could have also, once again, right, gotten, now, where are we at here? Now, once again, you don't know. Actually, you don't know who they've taken Travis Hunter. You don't know. But on the offensive side, Travis Hunter has scored 20 passes, no touchdowns, and he has 197 yards. So he's basically averaging about 10 yards a reception. He has no touchdowns now. Right? Yeah. No. But on defense, he's not doing too bad. I know his defensive rating is not bad. His offensive rating, so Travis Hunter's offensive rating, according to PFF, is like in the 50s. His defensive rating at cornerback is like 6. Where is it at here? Nope. Oh, I had it. I clicked that. I know his defensive rating is pretty good. Okay, so you don't know who the Giants were going to take. Because, they could have got, Hunter. Could you imagine Hunter and on one side and Malik Neighbors on the other? Woo! Okay. Wandale in the slot. You got Hunter. And then you got maybe Hyatt, and obviously off the bench. But, then you got Slayton off the bench. But I'm saying you got Hunter and a Neighbor. Now you got your 2 wide receivers. You got Dart, your quarterback. Maybe you got Scatterboo, the running back. So you got your wide receiver, 2 young stud wide receivers. You got your quarterback, running back, a couple of Tracy and Cam. You got your running backs. Maybe you can think about upgrading the tight end position somewhere along the line. But you got your weapons. You got your 2 dogs. Whew. They might have done that. You don't know. They might have drafted, Hunter. Maybe try to put him on a cornerback. You don't know. They would have had a Debo and they could put Hunter on the other side. You don't know, right? So you're not exactly sure, right, who the Giants were going to take. It's never going to be I don't know if you're ever going to find out if somebody's going to sit down with Shane and say, all right, Joe, you got the number 1 overall pick in the 2025 draft. Who are you taking? Joe Shane said, we would have taken, and you're probably not going to hear that. You don't know. I don't know if they didn't really big time pursue Ward because, the chirping going on is the Titans are taking Ward. Titans are taking Ward. Right? So if the Giants are here, Titans are taking Ward. So the Giants might be like, okay, man, don't worry about Ward. Let's look at everybody else. Right? So that's a possibility. Okay, so maybe they really didn't pursue Ward maybe as much as they could have because they thought the Titans, okay, who's the next quarterback we want to take? Now. So let's focus on Hunter and Carter and see which one of those guys we might want if one of them falls to us, right? But so you don't know. Or did the Giants really try to pursue Ward, try to jump up to number 1? But did that? You don't know. But I mean, just to be all fair and everything like that, it's not necessarily the end of the world, because everybody and their mother was freaking out because the Giants had the number 1 overall pick. Then they go out and beat the Colts, and they went from number 1 to number 3, and everybody's like, "What are you doing? Why?" It's like, which is the stupidest thing ever. Why are you winning a football game? I mean, what do you want them to do? You're telling these grown men to go out there on the field and lose a football? They don't give a rat's rear end about the draft picks. They're out there to win, right? But I mean, it seems like everybody and their grandma was so mad and so just beside himself. How could you win a football game? Now we don't have the number 1 pick. Now we're going to stink for the next 300 years. We might stink for the next 300 years. That might be a possibility, right? But they think we were going to stink because we weren't going to get our number, or we weren't going to get our quarterback of the future. Now, I'm certainly not saying that Dart is the quarterback of the future, but as of right as of this second, looks like there's a possibility Jackson Dart just might be the quarterback of the future for the New York Football Giants. And as of right of this second, okay, right, I'm not putting nobody in Canton or nothing like that, right? But as of this second, okay, it looks like Dart and Cam Ward pretty much, if not Dart's above them, they're pretty darn even. I mean, there's no, Cam Ward is here and Jackson Dart is going to be a bench warmer for the rest of it. There ain't none of that. I mean, they're very comparable. So, we need to pump the brakes on that. Right? So just because the Giants actually went out and won a football game last year, the world didn't come to an end. And just because, the Giants went out and they won the football game just might have benefited the New York Football Giants. Right? Because maybe they got the better quarterback. Ta-da! All right, guys, in 1 hour and 38 minutes. Whoever spent any time listening to me live, thank you. Or if anybody's going to spend any time watching the replay of this, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It means the world to me. As always, you guys stay safe out there and go Giants! Woo! Oh, yeah.